Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is YAHMAD. Today we're going to be looking at Chapter 18, Data Manipulation, which is the database unit. And especially we're going to be focusing on creating a new calculated runtime fields. So we create these fields in a design view when creating a query. And also we're going to be focusing on the different types of search criteria which we can use to filter the different records. So this is a typical exam question. So before we can create the report, we obviously have to create a query. In a query, typically we enter search criteria to filter down the records, and also we may have to create a new calculated runtime field. So we're going to be especially focusing on this aspect and using search criteria. So before we start, let's look at some examples from 2018 paper 2s. So the first example is we're going to create a new field called %_mark. So I've got the %_mark, then you follow that with a colon. So the name of the new field is always followed by a colon. And what this question is asking is this field will calculate the score. Score is italic, so typically that will tell me it's a field. So a field would have to go into square brackets. So the score will be divided by 60 and will be displayed as a percentage with 0 decimal places. So this is the first example here. The second example which we're going to be looking at, creating a new field called bonus_wage. So you can see the name of the new field, followed by colon, which is calculated at runtime and displayed as currency. Okay, this field will calculate the wage. So as you can see, wage is italic, so that's the field which we can put into square brackets, plus 4% of the wage. So basically what we need to do in normal brackets is to multiply the wage by 4%, so 4% as a decimal will be 0.04, and then whatever that is will be added to the wage. So whatever we work out in these brackets here, so in these brackets we'll work out the wage multiplied by 0.04, which will give us 4%, which will add to the wage, which will be the new bonus wage. The next example here, again we're using the brackets. We're going to work out something in the brackets which will be added to the base pay. Let me just go back. So let's read the question. So it contains a new field called current salary. So you can see the name of the new field, followed by the colon. It is the base pay. So we've got the base pay again. You notice base pay is italic. So we put any fields which we use in the calculation into square brackets. Plus, so it's going to be the base pay for the job plus an increase of £400 for each year's of service. So years of service again will be a field. You need to look at your database to identify this. So years of service will be put into square brackets multiplied by 400. So let's say years of service is 2. So it will be 2 multiplied by 400, which will give us 800, which will then be added to the base pay. So whatever we work out in these brackets will be added to the base pay. Let's look at the next example. Okay, this is slightly different. This is not a calculation. What we need to do here is to create a new field, okay, called external phone, external_phone. We still need to include a colon, but in this example here, we need to show the full external telephone number. So the number of the member of staff by prefixing the internal 4-digit telephone number, so plus 77536. So what we need to do here is basically join plus 77536 to the existing telephone number. So we have a telephone field here. Okay, the field should be selected or formatted as data type as text, and we're basically going to join two text strings together. So when you have anything in speech mark, it becomes a text string. So what we're going to do, the telephone is an existing field, as you can see it's in square brackets, and using the plus we're going to join whatever's in these speech marks onto the telephone text string as well. So you can see the example here. We've got the existing telephone number, and then we've got the external telephone number which has been created. So as you can see, the plus 77536 has been added to the external, or to the original number. So we've got plus 77536, which is this new part here. We've been the speech marks, which has been joined using the plus to the original number 5508. We're also going to be using or looking at the different search criteria, so using the wildcard, and we have to search or find something that contains a certain value when there's multiple words. So the example here we got is we got many actors, and if you want to search one actor from the many actors, you need to include a stars around the actor. Also, you can use a star to find something that starts with a particular number or ends with a particular number. And also we're going to be using a different search criteria: between, or, not, less than, more than, or more than or equal to. So we're going to be starting off with this question here. Okay, so for each different question we're going to be focusing on a different search criteria, and also the runtime field as well will be slightly different in each question as well. Okay, so for this question we are going to be producing a report. Obviously, before we can make the report, we have to create a query. So we're going to be first of all focusing on creating the new field, or annotating the question. So we're going to include a new field which is calculated runtime with the title full name. So the new field which we're going to create is going to be called full name, and then you need to include colon. This field should include the first name and family name. So I've just missed the underscore out. So basically you can check to see if these are existing fields. So we're going to have the first name joined onto the family name. So we have an example here. So if we go back here, so e.g. Yasser Ahmed, so you got your first name. You'll notice here we also have a space after, so we need to include a space into the formula or the calculated runtime field as well. So we're first going to include into square brackets the first name, which is the first field which we need to include. So first name doesn't really, actually let me just make it exact. Close the bracket, and then if I do plus, then we're going to join it onto the family name. So again, you put the fields into square brackets. Okay, so that's the first part. Okay, the second part, there is a slight mistake which I'm going to come back to. At this moment in time, it's going to be joined together. There will be no space in between, so I'm going to come back to that point. The second thing is show only the records where the faculty contains science. So if I go to here, I think if I go to jobs table or departments, you can see in this field here we've got many words. Okay, so we just want to find any fields which contain science. Okay, so when we're doing something like this, we're going to use the wildcards. We're going to put a star around science. Okay, so this will find this, using this method, we'll find anything that contains science. So basically it will be star, science, star. Okay, right, so let's get started. So show only the fields staff ID. Full name is the one we're going to create, so we can ignore that for now. So let me just close down these tables. We're going to create a new query. So what's the first field? Staff ID. So we've got a staff table. The full name is the one we're going to create later on. Job description and faculty in this order. So job description. So you may have to go to different tables to find what you're looking for. So staff ID, full name is the one we're going to create. Job description and faculty. Once you've done that, we can go next, and always put the title in. So the title that will appear at the top of the report. So show only, okay, includes in the heading science employees. So I always label my query with the same title that will appear at the top of the report. So science employees. Finish. And we start off with 100 records. Okay, so let me first of all put the search criteria in. So show only the records where the faculty contains science. So we've already annotated the question. We're going to use the stars. Make sure you do spell it right. Okay, so star at the start and star at the end. The reason we're doing that is if I just type in science, it's not going to show me any results. So if I just type in science, it's not showing any results. And the reason for this is because Science belongs to it belongs to a field containing many words. Okay, so we want to find the field which contains science. So we're going to type in star, science, let me just spell it right, and star again. When you click off, it'll say like anything that includes science. You got speech mark, star, science, star again, and then speech mark. So that's fine. If you click on run, and you can see now we've found all the faculties which contain science, and we're down to 68 records. Okay, now we're going to create the new field. Okay, so the new field is going to be called full name, and it's going to basically join a first name and a family name together. So I'm just going to copy this to save me some time into here, so we can increase the size. So we've got the name of the field called full name, colon, and then we've got the first name, which is a field, as you can see is here, plus the family name, which is this field here. So if we click on run, you can see the mistake we've got, and I've left that purposely so both names have no space in between. So obviously if you look at the example, we need to include a space after the first name. So what we can do is, if I include speech marks here, whoops, have a space, speech marks, and then plus, that should hopefully put space in between the names. So let's go back to Access. Let's give this a go. So after the plus, if I type in my speech mark, I want a space, speech mark, and then plus to join again. So we're going to join the first name field plus the space in between, and then plus we're going to join the family name. So I'm hoping if I click on run, as you can see, we've got space in between the first name and then the family name. So we've basically completed what we should have done in query. So we selected the fields, okay, and then what we can do, you can see the full name is the second field. So what you can do at this point here, you can basically drag this field, if you double click, and make it the second field. So we've got staff ID, we've got full name, job description, and faculty. So now the fields will appear in the right order, so as you can see here. Okay, so we've got the right fields in the right order, we've got the correct heading. We're only showing faculties which contain science, so we included stars. Okay, we've created a new runtime field. Now we can save this, okay, and now we can create the report. Okay, so the report will be based on the science employees. So query wizard, report wizard. So make sure you select the query which you just created, science employees. This is why it's useful to label the title of the report also as the name of the query, so you know which query you're working with. Select the fields, next, next. Do we have any sorts? So sorted by faculty in ascending order. Okay, so we can keep that as ascending, and then by full name in also ascending order. So because we've done the sorts, remember you have to put the fields back into the right order. I don't know why I keep clicking on that one. It's going to be portrait. We need to make sure all the data is fully visible. So we can keep this as portrait. And let me put the title back in. Sometimes you don't have to, but always double check. If you have to, then just copy the name of the title. Obviously in the exam you'd have to write it in. Make sure if there is a capital letter, you do include the capital letters, and then finish. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, if I click on close, because we've done the sort, the fields are not in the right order now, so we need to click on close, and then you need to go to layout view, and the first field should be staff ID and then full name. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to basically, using control, select the field name and the field data. Let's just move this across. So it's going to be staff ID. Let's just move this as the first field. Okay, let me just move this here for now. And then select the heading, full name, plus the data using control, and then now we can move this. So let's scroll down, let me get rid of this. Does it all fit? Yeah, I'm happy with that. And then the next two fields were job description and faculty. So we've come to the first, or nearly to the end of the first question. So you want to show all of the information. So let me double check, is there anything else? So we've done a sort, we made it fit to a portrait orientation, all the data is now fully visible, and we need to include your name in a report header. So to include your name in a report header, we need to go to design, design view, and this is a report header. So if you include something on the report header, your name will appear on the first page. So if you print off 5 pages, your name will only be on the first page. Same for the report footer. If you include something in the report footer, then your name will be at the bottom of the last page. So having your name on a report header will make sure your name appears only on the first page if you print off multiple pages. So let's go to print preview. Let me zoom out so we can have a look. So before you print, you should be checking to see if all the data fits. And I'm happy with that. The faculty does contain science. So that's the first question done. Okay, so let's save the changes. Let's go back. We can close this down. So that's the first question done. Okay, so we basically had to join two text fields together. We used a plus to join the fields together, and obviously I wanted a space in between, so I basically included speech marks. In the speech marks you can also include information. So let's say they said a colon, then a space, you could have also done that as well. Right, so let's look at the next question. So in this question we're going to be using the search criteria where we search between dates or we search between values. Okay, so we have to write between if you're searching between dates, the first date and the second date. So it will include this date and it will find any dates in between, and then also will include this date as well. Same with the numbers. If we're searching for values between 100 and 150, it will basically find values which are 100 going all the way to 150. Okay, again I'm going to focus on annotating the question before we do anything. So basically we're going to create a new field, calculator runtime, with the title project end. So let me type that in here. Again followed by colon. And basically this field will add 3 years to start date. Okay, so which field do we need to use for the start date? We're going to use this field here, project underscore started. So I'm going to include this field in square brackets, a project underscore started. Let's close the bracket. And what we want to do is basically add 3 years to the start date. So basically, because this format, the data is in a date and time format, we basically need to add a number of days. So what we're going to do, we're going to, in the normal curly brackets, we're going to basically multiply 365. That's basically the number of days in 1 year. Because we want to add 3 years, we're going to multiply this by 3. Close the square brackets. So basically 365 multiplied by 3, whatever the answer of that is, will be added to the start date. So you'll see the dates will change accordingly. Okay, now let's look at the search criteria. So show only records with a year service is more than or equal to 5 and less than or equal to 10. So for year service, what we need to do, let me just click here. We're going to write in between, so year service is more than or equal to 5, so between 5 and equal to and less than 10. So that's all we've got to type in for year service. So I'm just going to put year service, so I know that's that. Okay, and also projects which started in 2017. Okay, so what we need to find is only projects which started in 2017. Okay, so project started. So again, we say between, and we're going to search for project which started on the first date in 2017 and the last date of 2017. Whoops. Just make that a little bit bigger so you can see. So now we've done the annotation, let's start the question. So again, we're going to create a query and we're going to select the fields that we need to select. So let me close down these tables. Let's go to create query wizard. Okay, so what fields do we need to select? Family name, first name, year service. So family name, first name, year service. Project started and project end will be the new field we create. So let's include project started, next, next. And again, we get to the point where we need to label our query, the same title that will be the top of the report. So include the heading, project end dates. Okay, so again, we start with 100 records. Let's first of all filter our results. So the year service, we said basically if we go to year service is more than or equal to 5. Okay, so more than and equal to 5 and equal to and less than 10. So we're basically going to use this search criteria between 5 and 10. So I can copy and paste that in. So between 5 and 10, as simple as that. If I click and run, you can see it includes 10 and includes 5. So basically 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are the only values which are shown. And then what we need to do is find the projects which were started in 2017. So we're checking to see if it's between the first date of 2017 and also the last date of 2017. So this is how we use the between and to search for particular records. So let me just increase the size. The hashtags will come by themselves, so you can ignore them. So we've got between the first date, 1st of the 1st 2017, and the last date of 2017, which was the 31st of the 12th 2017. If I click on run, you can see we only have 2017 dates here. Okay, I'm happy with that. So now if we go back to design view, we're going to create the new field, so project end. So let me just first of all copy this first part here. If I just use my keyboard, Control C, and if I paste it in here, Control V. Now just to show you, if I just did, so that's the project start date, that's the field which we're using here. If I just add 10, for example, so you can see the first date is 8th of November 2017. I've added 10, so it's basically added 10 days to the first date. Okay, what we want to do is add 3 years. Okay, so what we need to do, if you go back to the example, is in the curly brackets is to do this formula. So basically 365 times 3, that will give us a number of days for the 3 years, which we'll add to the project started. So if I go back, actually I'll just type it in. So 365 multiplied by 3, close the curly brackets. So obviously we only put the fields into the square brackets. Any other sums we can do in the curly brackets, whatever we get from here will be added to the project started date. So if I click on run, you can see we start in 2017 and now we're ending in 2020. So we've basically added 3 years to the start date. Let's save. So we've selected the fields. Okay, we've got the title, we've done the search criteria, we've created the new runtime field. Now it's time to make the report. Okay, so we can press save, click on create. Report wizard, make sure you select the right query, so project end dates. Select the fields, next, next. And when you get to here, it's sorted by the project started in ascending order. So we can select that, ascending. And then by year service in ascending as well. So if I click down and select year service in ascending, okay, next. If you check the next bullet point, it's displayed on single page in landscape orientation. So we can select landscape, next. We still got the date, the title, which has still appeared, so we don't need to change anything. We can keep going, so we can press finish. Because I've done the sort, it's messed up the order, so again, if we click on close, we go on to layout view. And what's the first field? So we've got family name, first name, and year service. So we've got family name. So I'm just going to create some space for myself before I start moving these records. Okay, so I'm just going to move them along first. So remember, I'm pressing Control, I click on the heading, and then I click on the data. So family name goes first. So now I'm pressing Control on my keyboard, I click on the data. Let's move this across. Okay, let's move first name across now. So we're putting the fields back into the right order. Okay, let's just move this one over here. I think the next one's going to be year serviced. Whoops. And then the project started and then project ended. Okay, so let me check if there's anything else I need to do. I don't know why I keep clicking on that. So we've done a query, we've done a sort, the page is landscape, all the data is fully visible, and we need to include your name in the report header. So let's include the name in the report header. So if I go to design, click on view, design view, and if I click on design, I can just add a label for my name in the report header. Okay, and then if I go to print preview, before you print, you should be checking all the fields in the right order: family name, first name, year service. So family name, first name, year service, project started, and project end. Okay, started, end. My name's there. You can zoom out. Is all of the data visible? Nothing's cut off. There's only one page of data, and this is good to print. So that's the second question done. So we can save the changes. We can close down. So you'll notice the first one was science employees. That was a query, and that's a report. And then this is the second one, project end dates. Okay, so let's look at the next question. So we're going to be using the OR search criteria. It's where we basically search for multiple values, and also using the NOT as well to exclude certain values as well. Okay, so first let's annotate the question. So in this question here, we've got two fields that we have to create. It's going to be a new field called new pay. So include a new field, calculate the runtime with the title new pay. So let's type in new underscore pay, colon. This field will calculate the base pay. So base pay is an existing field which we can check. Let's have a look. Yeah, so it's going to be base pay. Let's put that into square brackets. Underscore pay. Okay, and this field will calculate the base pay plus 15% of the base pay. So going up to this example here, so in these curly brackets, we basically need to multiply the base pay by 15%, which will be added to the current pay. So if I go back down to here, so it's going to be basically plus, and then in curly brackets, it's going to be again base pay close the square brackets, multiplied by 15%. So 15% as a decimal is 0.15. We can close the curly brackets. So basically, whatever we work out in the curly brackets, so 15% of the base pay will be added to the base pay under the new field called new pay. Right, the second field that we have to create is called bonus pay. Let me just type that in. So bonus, make sure you spell it right. So keep doing it. Bonus underscore pay colon again. So it's repetition now. We're doing it again and again. This field will calculate 17.5% of the base pay. So we just basically want to find out 17.5% of the base pay. So again, we can put base pay into square brackets underscore pay. Let's go close the square brackets multiplied by 0.175. So that's basically 17.5% as a decimal number. So this will basically calculate 17.5% of the base pay under the new field bonus pay. Now let's look at the search criteria. So it's basically show only where the records, or show only the records where the department is. So for department, you got all these different subjects. We basically want to show biology, chemistry, or maths. So biology, chemistry, or maths. Make sure you don't write mathematics because that will not match with maths. Okay, so and then the last thing we have to do as well is excludes AD or HO from a job role code. So this is not to include. So let's first write down the search criteria. So department will be basically biology. And when you're searching for multiple values, so it could be biology or chemistry or maths. So that's what we're going to enter for the search criteria. So department, and then for the job, role code, we want to say not AD or HO. So you're going to have to type in not again, actually, not HO. So let's start now. Let's start by selecting a field. So we're going to go to create query wizard. Okay, so when you select the fields, make sure you select from tables to show all of the data. So we've got family name, first name, department. So family name, first name, department, job role code, okay, and then the two new fields, so new pay and bonus pay, we haven't created them yet, so we can go ahead and obviously we'll create them in a moment. Put a title in that will appear at the top of your report, so include the heading employee pay rise at the top of the page. So it's always useful to name your query the same name that's going to appear at the top of the report. Finish. Okay, so we start off with 100 records. Let's put our search criteria in. So we select the fields, put the title in. So department will be biology or chemistry or maths. So underneath department, let's type that in. Let's make it a bit bigger. Run. Okay, for some reason maths is not showing, so maybe I was spelled. Let me double check for maths. Right. If that happens, just make sure you delete whatever's in there. Press backspace, delete. And let me double check. Okay, I'm going to go again. So if that happens to you, it doesn't matter, just delete what's in there. So let's type in maths or biology or chemistry. Doesn't matter what order we do it in, as long as the or is separating into different values. Run. Okay, so now it's worked. So I've got biology, chemistry, and maths. Okay, so I must have made a spelling mistake somewhere. Let me save the changes. The second thing I want to search for is excludes in the job role code either AD or HO. So we don't want to show AD or HO. So if I go to design view, if I type in not AD or not HO. Let me just double check if it's them two. So not AD or not HO. Actually, I'm going to delete that for a second because I didn't check to see how many records I had left over. So we're down to 29 just by filtering a department. So now let's filter the job codes. So not AD, so excluding AD, or not HO. If we click on run, and we should be down to, okay, so that's not worked, I've still got AD, so okay, yeah, I've just remembered what we need to say. I think in this example is and not HO, so we have to use and actually here, so not AD and not HO. Let me see if that's worked. Yep, we're down to 24. So can we see any of those values? No, we're not. So let me go back here. Let me change that. So we should have used and not HO. Okay, so that's that part done. So now let's make the new field. So let me copy and paste in this for the new pay. I'll press Ctrl C. So if I come to here, we can paste it in. And if we click on run, okay, so this is basically come up because it's basically asking me what is there such a field called base pay. So let me just double check something. Let me add the other table as well. So we've got departments, we've got staff. Let me add jobs. Base underscore pay. So what did I write here? Okay, so BASE underscore pay. I'm going to type this in again from scratch. I'm not sure why that's not worked. So it's going to be this field here, base pay. Okay, base underscore pay. Let's close the square bracket. And then it's going to be plus 15% of the base pay, which will work out in curly brackets. So it's going to be plus curly brackets, again, base pay, let's close the square brackets, multiplied by 0.15, which is 15% as a decimal. Let's close the square brackets. So I'm pretty sure that's the same thing. Let me see if that works now. It works now. I'm not sure what the difference was. And obviously, because it's a pay, we have to format it as currency. So let me click here and then click on property sheet, and we can apply currency formatting here. Okay, we can also change the decimal places as well if you wanted to. So I'm happy with that. So that's the first one done. Okay, so let's try the second one. So I'm going to try and copy and paste it again, just to save me some time if I have to type it, and then obviously I'll have to type it again. So let's come to the end. So the bonus pay is basically the base pay multiplied by 17.5%, which is 1.75 or 0.175 as a decimal. So if I click on run, okay, so that's basically 17.5% of your base pay. So again, we have to format this as a currency. So property sheet, format currency. Okay, so there we go. So that's basically 15%. Oh no, sorry, 17.5% of the base pay. Let me double check something. Yeah, that's what I put in. I was just double checking my decimal numbers, which are right. So now that we've done that, that was the hard part. So basically I've typed in my search criteria. I made a couple of mistakes, not using and there was a slight mistake here as well for the base pay. So I'm not sure, I can't really see it here. Okay, so we've done that. So we selected the fields, we've got the title, we put the search criteria in, we've created the new fields. Now I can press save, and now I can create the report based on the employee pay rise. So we select the fields, including new pay and bonus pay. Next, next, next. The filter is going to be sorted on by department. So department is going to be ascending order, and then by new pay in ascending order. So new pay ascending order. The page orientation will be landscape. So we can select landscape. And let's put a title back in again. So let's delete this. Sometimes you'd have to put a title back in again. So employee pay rise. And then finish. Okay, so again, if you click on close, the first thing we should be doing at this point is putting the fields back into the right order. So if I press Control, I'm just going to shift these across here. What's the first field? The first field should be family name, and then first name, and then department. So family name, which is this one here. We've got family. I'm just going to make them a little bit smaller so we can fit them all across. Let's move this one across here. Okay, so let me just open this up so all of the information is shown. Let me go down. Yeah, all of the information is showing. Let's use first name now. Okay, then I think it's department. Yeah, job role code. So again, I'm using Control to select the heading and then the data. And we're almost done now. And then new pay, and then bonus pay as well. Okay, if you do forget to format this as currency, you can go to design sheet, property sheet, and then we can also do the formatting here as well. Right, so we've got the fields in the right order. We've done a sort, include your name in the report footer. So if we go to the design view, report footer, so we need to open this up. Let's go to design, include a label. If we click on view, let's save the changes. So if we go to the bottom, you can see my name, and then calculate the average of the bonus pay and place below the column. Include a suitable label. So the bonus pay is this field here. So we need to go to layout view. So if I select the bonus pay field and then click on the functions up here, totals, and select average, that's going to basically work out an average, and it's going to place it below. And then what we can do, if we can go to design view, that's the formula. If I go to design, it says to include a suitable label, so we can include a label. So make sure in the exam you're careful if it's to the right or to the left. So we can say bonus average, and that's my suitable label. And then if you go to print preview, we can check to see all of the fields are showing. Okay, so the data will come on 2 pages. So it's no point having just one piece of data on the second page. So what we can do, we can actually let me just increase the size here. So now if we go to print preview, you'll see the space between the rows has slightly increased, and now at least we have some records on the second page as well. So there's no point just having just the bonus and then your name on the second page. So before you print, check to see if all of the information is shown is in the right order. We've got the 2 new fields, new pay plus the bonus pay. So we've got 2 fields that we created. The departments should have been biology, chemistry and maths, and we didn't include 2 job codes which were AD or HO. Okay, so that's that one done. So let's look at the next question. So now we're going to be using this criteria here, so where we're using less than or more than, or it could be more than or equal to 90. So for example, if you want values less than 90, use this symbol here, which is less than, and then the values will be less than 90, so it would be 89 going all the way down to 0, okay, or minus numbers as well actually. And then this basically will be anything that's greater than 90, so it'd be 90 or above, so 90, 91 and so forth. this will be more than or equal to 90, so you start with 90, so 90 will be the first number, and then you can go greater. And you can also use the greater than or less than when you're searching between dates. So let's say, for example, the dates were between, the date was before 2018. You can either do this, so less than the first date of 2018, so the first of the first 2018, or you can do less than or equal to the last date of 2017, which is 31/12/2017. So let's say, for example, you want to do date after 2018, so you can do greater than or equal to the first date of 2018, which is the first of the first 2018, or you can do greater than 31st of the 12th 2017, so the last date of 2017. So you could do one or the other. So dates is typically where students tend to struggle. Okay, again, we're going to start the question by annotating the question. So this question includes a new field, calculated runtime, with the title new salary. So let me type in the name of the new field. So new underscore salary, colon. This field will calculate the base pay. So base pay is an existing field. So let's put that into square brackets. Underscore pay. Plus an increase of 400 for every year's service. So again, this question is very similar to this one here. So basically, your service is in a field. So let me just close down this. Save the changes. So basically, this guy's got 2 years. This person's got 2 years service, and it's going to be, if you go back to the question. So for every year's service in this example was you're adding, or you're giving them £400 for every year's service. So this person's worked 2 years, so they would get £800. But let's look at the question that we're doing. So you have to remember, whatever we work out in the curly brackets, we'll have to add it to the base pay. So if we come back to here, so this field will calculate the base pay plus an increase of 400 for every year's service. So it's basically going to be the base pay plus, in curly brackets, year service. So year service is the field, so years underscore service. So let me double check, is it years? Yeah. Close the brackets, multiplied by 400. So obviously if it's 1 year's service to get £400 added to their base pay. If it's 2 years service to get 800, 3 years 1200, and so forth. We can close the curly brackets. So basically whatever we do in the curly brackets will be added to the base pay. Now let's look at the search criteria. So show only the records with a year's service is equal to greater than 10. So basically we only want to basically add the extra pay to those people who have worked year's service is equal to greater than 10. So basically it's going to be year service, what we have to say is equal to or greater than 10. So for those people who have worked 10 or more years, will get the extra bonus, or will get the extra pay added to their salary. Okay, and the projects have started in 2017 or after. So what we can say, project started, we can either do two things. We can say, so projects have started in 2017 or after. So we can do this first thing, so the first date. So it's basically anything after or equal to this date. So it's going to be this date, so the first 2017 or after. Or you could do this one like this, so the last date of 2016 basically, so 12/2016. It's whatever you find easier to do. So this would basically start from the first date of 2017. Right, so now I've annotated. Let's start by selecting the fields. So again, we are going to go to create query wizard. Make sure you're selecting from the tables. So you're going to select family name, first name, year service. So family name, first name, year service, project started, and obviously we'll also have to include the new salary as a field as well. Okay, Next. Again, same repetition. Let's include a title. So the title includes the heading, new salary at the top of the page. Let's just include that now. Finish. So again, we start off with 100 records. Let's put our search criteria in first. So the year service is equal to or greater than. So you always put a greater than sign first, or if it's less than, that sign would have come first. But greater than or equal to 10. So let's do that first. Year service. Greater than or equal to 10. Let's click on run. So we're now down to 54, and we basically now want to find the projects which are started in 2017 or after. So I'm going to go over this one here. So equal to, greater than or equal to the first date of 2017 or after. So make sure you put the less than or greater than sign first, and then equal, and then the date or the number. It's up to you. Obviously, depends on what you're doing. So let's go to project started. Greater than or equal to the 1st of the 1st 2017, run. So the dates should be 2017 and 2018, and now we're down to 33 records. So now let's create the new field called new salary. This field will basically calculate the base pay plus an increase of 400 for every year's service. Okay, so let's copy. Let's click and run. Okay, yeah, I forgot to show you here. So year service is a field, so we need to put year service into square brackets. Okay, which I forgot to do. Okay, so if I click on run now, again it's saying the base pay. Let me just type it in again myself. So base underscore, maybe it's not copy and pasting the underscore properly. Run, or maybe it's a square brackets. Let me try that again. So base underscore pay, close the square brackets, and then in the curly brackets the years multiplied by 400. So let's see if that's worked. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually type it in from scratch. Okay, so I'm gonna stop copy and pasting now. Actually, I don't know why it doesn't work when I copy and paste. So new salary, and it's going to be the base pay. So let's show all of the tables. So we've got departments. So it's going to be this field here. So in square brackets, base underscore pay plus, in curly brackets, this field here, years service. Oops, why am I not typing? Years underscore service. So checking if I spelt it right. Close the square bracket, multiplied by 400. And if I close the square curly bracket, I'm hoping on this occasion it's going to work. And yes, it's worked. Okay. So now we can go back to the field, and if we click on property sheet, format, and then we can select currency. If you want to include the base pay, you can do as well, just to see. So that was the starting base pay. Okay, so this guy's worked 10 years, so 10 times 400 is 4,000. So as you can see, the salary has gone from 12,000 to 16,000. So obviously I don't want to show my base pay, so I can hide that field. So I was just double checking to see if I've done it right. So the year service was basically 10 or more, so we can click down here. So it's starting from 10 and then goes higher. And the project started was basically starting from 2017 and any days after. Okay, so now we've done this. Now let's create the report. So save, create report wizard. Make sure you select the fields from the correct query. So we do a new salary, so we select all the fields, next, next. Right, so it's sorted your service into ascending order. So sending, next. It's displayed on a single page in landscape orientation, so we can select landscape, next. The title is still here, so we don't need to change that. Finish. You see the title still appears at the top. Because we've done the sort, the fields are not in the right order, so if we go to close, and again, layout view, so it's just repetition now. So the more you do it, the same steps we take when we're doing databases. So the first field was family name, first name, and then year service. So if I select the name of the field and then the data by pressing Control again, we can put this into the right order. Just want to double check I'm not cutting off any of the data. Let me go down. Yeah, that's the longest name, and we can see it in full. And then is it project started and a new salary? Let me double check. Yeah, project started and a new salary. I forgot to write it in, but that's the last field. So obviously when it's hashtags, it means it's just not showing the data. Right, so that's that done. Let's see, so we've done the sort, landscape, all the data is now fully visible. Let's include your name in a report footer. So if we go to design view, this is the report footer. Let's open it up, open label, and we just write our name. Go to view, and then if you go to print preview, actually, let's have a look. So 2 pages, and my name's there, but slightly cut off, as you can see. So let's go to design view. Yeah, that's why it's cut off, because the box wasn't big enough. So again, always go to print preview and check. So we can see the fields in the right order. You can zoom out if you want to see the whole page. And then if we go to the second page, you can see my name in the report footer as well. Okay, so the last thing is calculate the total new salary and place it below the column. Include a suitable label. So what we need to do, if you go to layout view, we basically want to add up the total of this. So we click on that particular column, go to totals, and then click on sum. Okay, so that gives us a total, and we can then go to design view, and then basically what we can do is add a label, total sum. Okay, or you can say total sum of new salary, it doesn't really matter, it's up to you. In the exam they will be really specific. Okay, so if you go to the second page, yeah, we've got the label and then the value as well, which is formatted as currency. And this is finished. This report is now finished. So you'll notice, before we move on to the last one, we've got the queries, and for each query we've got the reports. Obviously I had an example here, you won't have the example, I'm just going to delete it for now actually. So typically the title of the query also appears at the top of the report. So it's very useful to name the query with the same title so you know which is which. Right, let's have a look now at the last question. So again, we're going to be using the stars. This time, if you want to start with a particular field, particular text or particular number, you type that number and then you type in star. So the field, if you were to do this, this would basically find anything that starts with 37. So if you want to start with a number or text, you write that text first and then star. If you want to end with a particular value, you write star first and then what you want to end with. Okay, so let's first of all look at what we need to do here first. So we need to annotate the question paper. Okay, so again we're going to start by annotating the question, and we're going to focus on the new field. So it includes a new field calculated at runtime, the title, full telephone. This field will prefix the internal telephone number with +9555. So we're basically going to include this at the start of the number and join it onto the existing telephone field. So it's very similar to this question paper. So this was the original telephone number, and we had to prefix this value here, so plus 77536 at the start of the number to join them together. So it's similar to what we did with the names, where we join them together. We don't need to have a space, we want to put the numbers together. So obviously before you can do this, we want to join two text strings together. So you need to ensure your telephone has been set as text. Some people might think, oh, it's a number, so why am I selecting it as a text or formatting it as a text? The telephone number may include brackets, it may include a plus. Okay, so for that reason, you have to change the format into text on many occasions. So here we're going to basically join two text strings together. So this text string within the speech marks joined to the field which has been formatted as a text string. Okay, so this was the original number, and then that was the output. So if I come down to the last question, what's the name of the new field? It's called full telephone. So if I type in full underscore telephone colon, so this field will prefix the internal telephone number, so plus 9555. So you need to pull it into speech marks. So we basically want to join this. So to join things together, you need to include a plus to the existing telephone number. So the existing telephone number is basically this field here, just called telephone. Okay, so we can open up the square brackets because there's a field, telephone, done. Okay, now for the search criteria, show only the records with a staff ID. So staff ID is this field here. So we want to find records which begins with PU. Okay. So begins, so staff ID, what we're going to say is, if you want to begin with something, you're going to type PU first. So look at the example up here. Or ends with 3 ones. So what we can do is or ends with 3 ones. So if you want to end with something, if you look at the example here, you've got to put a star first and then put the 3 numbers to end with. Okay, so we want to show the ID which starts with PU or ends with 111. Right, so now we've answered the question paper or the question. Let's give it a go. So again, the same steps. So create query wizard. Again, selecting the fields from the tables. We're going to have the family name, first name, staff ID. So family name, first name, and staff ID. Telephone, and then the full telephone is the one we're going to create, including the heading. So the heading, telephone number at the top of the page. Let me just copy and paste. I don't know why I've lost some. So, yeah, let me just copy this in. Includes heading, telephone number. So let me just type that into here now. Okay, and we should again have 400 records, oh sorry, not 400, 100 records. So let's first of all enter the search criteria. So if I go to design view, so the staff ID, basically we're going to begin with PU, so we're going to type in PU and then star. So PU star, let's just see if that works. If I click underneath, you'll see like appears, but it doesn't really matter if you click on run. So all the staff IDs which begin with PU, that's fine, but we also want to say or ends with 111. So when you end in with a number, you put a star first and then the 111. So star 1 2 3. If you click underneath, it'll say or like again, you can see. So we got 111 or PU, so we've got 27 records. So the ID either starts with PU or it ends in 111. So this one ends in 111. This one starts with PU. Okay, so now let's make this new field. So let me type it in, because every time I copy and paste it just doesn't work for some reason. So the name of the new field is called full telephone colon. It's always useful to add the other tables just to see, so you need to add departments and jobs as well, just to see if we're using any of the existing fields for the calculation. So full telephone, and what we want to do in speech marks, so it's going to be plus, I think 9555, let me double check. So plus 9555, so we have to prefix at the start of the telephone number, close the speech mark, and if you type in and, we're going to join it to the existing telephone field, which we have to type into square brackets. Close the square bracket. If we go to run, yep, so you can see that's the existing number 59100, and then we prefix in the speech marks plus 9555 to the telephone number. If you wanted to add a space, if you can do the same thing that we did before. We can include a speech mark, space, speech mark, and plus. It's up to you. Okay, and you can see we have a space as well. Right, so we selected the fields, we've got a full telephone number, we've labeled the query telephone number, and let me double check, yeah, we did. We've got the search criteria in, we've got a new field, so now we're good to go again. We can make the reports. Let's save that. Let's go to create report wizard. Again, make sure you selected the right field, so the right query, so telephone number, select the fields, next. What do we need to sort? So it's sorted by family name in ascending order. So because you can see family name is the first field, hopefully we won't have to change anything with the order with this particular report. Is it landscape or is it portrait? This example is portrait, so we can keep it as portrait. The name still has appeared, so we don't need to enter it again. Finish. The name is at the top of the report. We just need to ensure all of the data fits into the page going across. So we go to layout view. Okay, the first field should be family name, first name, staff ID. So family name, first name, staff ID, telephone, and full telephone. So we can just adjust these, the headings. Is that all showing? Yeah. The telephone number is slightly cut off, so I'm just going to move these fields across slightly. Okay, so you remember, you can select a heading, then you press Control on your keyboard, keep your finger down, and you can select the data. So that's that done. Now let me double check. So displayed on a single portrait page, yeah, all data is fully visible. Let's put my name in the report footer again. So if we go to design view, let's open up report footer. Let's add your name as a label. Okay, and then calculate the number of staff members and place below the staff ID. So if we go to layout view, so because I want to place it below, so calculate the number of staff ID. So remember, each record is a staff member, so basically we're going to do a count, and because I want the value to be below the staff ID, I've selected this column. It doesn't really matter if you count the names or the numbers, it's going to give you the same value. Make sure nothing's overlapping as well. So if I click on staff ID, design, because it contains text values, we can only count, we can't add up these values. So if you click on count, it's giving me my number here, 27, which is the same as the query, and then calculate the number of staff members and place below staff ID. It doesn't ask me, but I'm just going to include a label because this normally does ask you in the exams. So if we go to design view, go to design, click on a label, type in number of staff, Okay, so if we come down to the bottom, let's go to my print preview, check the fields in the right order. If you come down, you can see, actually this is not directly below the staff ID field, so let me just go back to design view. I don't know why it's not actually shown underneath it, a bit weird, but let me go again, print preview. Yep, there you go. So, but my label's now not shown in full, so let me just, what you can do, let's just make the box a bit bigger. So number of staff, and then this number is below the staff ID. Okay, so we're finished. So what you should have at the end of this task is 5 queries. Okay, and then obviously for each query you've created a report. So you need to now start to recognize what you do in a query and what you do in a report. So in a query you normally start off by selecting the fields and then any titles that will appear at the top of the report. So for example, if I open up employee pay rise and then open up this one here, always label a query the same title that will appear at the top of the report. It just makes our lives easier to identify which query belongs to which report. Also in the query you'll be doing search criteria and making the new fields. Once you've done that, so basically if I show you this example here, we create the new field at the very end. You write the name of the new field, include a colon. If you're using existing fields, so current stock, you put them into square brackets. Here we're adding 5 to the current stock, so 5 is not a field, so we don't need to put 5 into square brackets. So only square fields belong to square brackets. You can go to property sheet on the right hand side and we can format the values accordingly. Okay. You also need to make sure you are familiar using all of the different search criteria as well, especially with the dates. That's where people tend to get problems with finding particular dates. Okay, so the new papers are getting more and more difficult, especially with calculated runtime fields. Sometimes you may have to work out something in curly brackets and then you may have to add it to an existing field. As you can see here with these 2 examples, and for the first time I can remember in the IG papers we had to join 2 text strings together, so you can do that by including a plus. If you want to have anything in between, you simply put speech marks, whatever you want to include, a space, or it could be some letters, for example, close to speech marks, and then you can put and again to join things together. So obviously I'm going to get rid of that. So we've come to the end of this video. I'm hoping using different search criteria now makes a little bit more sense, and also creating these different types of runtime fields hopefully makes more sense as well. Thank you for watching. Please show your support to the channel. Please subscribe below. Please share this content and like this content as well. Thank you for your time.